Hello everyone, this is Soumya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, మీ అందరూ నా ఫస్ట్ వీడియో ఆన్ వరల్డ్ క్లైమేట్ జోగ్రఫీలో వరల్డ్ క్లైమేట్ గురించి డిస్కస్ చేసాము. మన ఫస్ట్ వీడియోలో మీ అందరూ ఆ వీడియో చూసారని అనుకుంటున్నా. ఇన్ కేస్ ఎవరైతే ఆ వీడియో చూడలేదో ఇంకా ప్లీజ్ వెళ్ళి ఆ వీడియోని చూడండి. ఆ వీడియో కంటిన్యూషన్ ఈ రోజు మనం మన టాపిక్ లో డిస్కస్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. సో ఈ రోజు వీడియోలో మనము ఇంకా వేరియస్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ గురించి మాట్లాడుకుందాము. అండ్ స్పెషల్ గా చెప్పాలి అంటే మనం 3 టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ గురించి మాట్లాడుకుందాం ఈ రోజు వీడియోలో. అదేంటంటే మెరైన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, ఇక్కడ ఆల్రెడీ రాసింది అనుకుంటా, మెరైన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, ట్రాపికల్ గ్రాస్లాండ్స్, ట్రాపికల్ డెజర్ట్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ 5 to 30 degrees 5 to 30 degrees లాటిట్యూడ్స్ లో ఉండే మెరైన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, ట్రాపికల్ గ్రాస్లాండ్స్, ట్రాపికల్ డెజర్ట్స్ గురించి ఈ రోజు మనం మన వీడియోలో మాట్లాడుకుందాం. అండ్ బిఫోర్ దాట్ నేను ఏం చేయబోతున్నానంటే మీకు ఒక బ్రాడ్ ఐడియా ఇస్తా. బికాస్ ఆల్రెడీ నిన్న చెప్పాను, నేను నిన్నటి వీడియోలో ఏంటంటే దెర్ ఆర్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ ఉన్నాయని ఆల్రెడీ మీకు చెప్పాను, రైట్? సో ఆ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ ఎన్ని అంటే టోటల్ గా మనం బ్రాడ్ గా చెప్పుకుంటే దెర్ ఆర్ 10 టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ ప్రెసెంట్ అక్రాస్ ద వరల్డ్, రైట్? ఈ 10 టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ లో మనం మన ఫస్ట్ వీడియోలో హాట్ వెట్ ఈక్వెటోరియల్ క్లైమేట్ గురించి డిస్కస్ చేసాం, విచ్ ఇస్ ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ 0 to 5 degrees నార్త్ అండ్ సౌత్ లాటిట్యూడ్స్, రైట్? సో హాట్ వెట్ ఈక్వెటోరియల్ క్లైమేట్ గురించి డిస్కషన్ అయిపోయింది. నౌ నెక్స్ట్ కమింగ్ 5 to 30 degrees మధ్యలో ఉండే క్లైమేట్స్ గురించి మనం మాట్లాడుకోవాలి. సో ఇంకా 9 టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ గురించి ఈ రోజు నేను మీకు కొత్తగా ఇంట్రొడ్యూస్ చేస్తాను. సో అవేంటంటే ఇక్కడ చూస్తే మీకు ఒకవేళ ఇది క్లారిటీగా లేకపోతే నేను ఇదంతా చెప్పేసిన తర్వాత మీకు ఒక క్లోజర్ లుక్ ఇస్తాను. దీనికి ఎవరైనా నోట్ చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటే నోట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, రైట్? సో ఫస్ట్ మనం 0 to 5 degrees నార్త్ అండ్ సౌత్ మనం నిన్న డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నట్టు ఇట్ ఇస్ హాట్ వెట్ ఈక్వటోరియల్ క్లైమేట్, రైట్? సో మనం ఆల్రెడీ నిన్న డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నాం ఏ రీజియన్స్ హాట్ వెట్ ఈక్వటోరియల్ క్లైమేట్ లోకి వస్తాయి. అమెజాన్ బేసిన్, కాంగో బేసిన్, ఇండోనేషియన్ ఐలాండ్స్ అనాలన్నమాట ఈ రీజియన్. నాట్ ఓన్లీ ఇండోనేషియన్ ఐలాండ్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో ఈ రీజియన్ లో, సో వీటన్నిటికీ హాట్ వెట్ ఈక్వటోరియల్ క్లైమేట్ అనేది వస్తుంది, రైట్? సో 5 to 30 degrees మధ్యలో ఇప్పుడు ఏముంటాయి మనం డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. మెరైన్, ట్రాపికల్ గ్రాస్లాండ్స్ అండ్ ట్రాపికల్ డెజర్ట్స్, రైట్? సో ఇప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ ఆఫ్టర్ 30 degrees తర్వాత ఏముంటది, 30 to 45 degrees మధ్యలో తీసుకుంటే ఈస్టర్న్ సైడ్. సో మీరు అనుకోవచ్చు ఇక్కడ 0 to 5 degrees నార్త్ సౌత్ లోనేమో ఓన్లీ ఒకటే ఉంది హాట్ వెట్ ఈక్వటోరియల్ క్లైమేట్ అక్రాస్ ద గ్లోబ్, ఒకటే మాట్లాడుకున్నాం 0 to 5 degrees నార్త్ సౌత్ లో. కానీ ఇక్కడ 5 to 30 degrees వచ్చేటప్పటికి 3 types ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్స్ గురించి ఎందుకు డిస్కస్ చేస్తున్నాం? బికాస్ 5 to 30 degrees కానీ 30 to 45 కానీ 45 to 60 కానీ ఏంటంటే మీరు ఇక్కడ చూడొచ్చు ఈస్ట్ నుంచి వెస్ట్ సైడ్ ఆఫ్ ద కాంటినెంట్స్. ఇక్కడ 3 ఎందుకు చూపించామంటే కాంటినెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, లైక్ ఇప్పుడు టేక్ నార్త్ అమెరికా, టేక్ సౌత్ అమెరికా, ఆఫ్రికా, వీటన్నిటిని మనం ఎలా చూడాలంటే కమింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఈస్ట్ టు వెస్ట్. సో ఈస్ట్ టు వెస్ట్ వచ్చే కొద్దీ క్లైమేట్ అనేది వేరియేషన్ వస్తుంది. ఎందుకంటే మనం అబ్జర్వ్ చేయొచ్చు, ఈస్ట్ సైడ్ మనకు వాటర్ డామినేషన్ ఉంది, వెస్ట్ సైడ్ వాటర్ డామినేషన్ ఉంది. ఇక్కడ కూడా అంతే, ఈస్ట్ సైడ్ వాటర్ డామినేషన్, వెస్ట్ సైడ్ వాటర్ డామినేషన్, అండ్ మధ్యలో మనకి ఏం లేదు. కాబట్టి కొన్ని డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ యాక్ట్ చేస్తాయి ఇక్కడ. కాబట్టి ఈ 5 to 30 degrees ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, అండ్ ఆల్సో అబౌవ్ పైన మీరు ఎక్కడ తీసుకున్నా ఓన్లీ 0 to 5 degrees మధ్యలోనే మనకి ఎలాంటి వేరియేషన్ ఉండదు. త్రూ అవుట్ ద గ్లోబ్ సేమ్ టెంపరేచర్ ఉంటుంది. బట్ వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు 5 to 30 కానీ ఆ పైన కానీ వేరియేషన్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఈ 3ని మనము ఎలా ఐడెంటిఫై చేయాలంటే కాంటినెంట్స్ కి ఈస్టర్న్ సైడ్ మెరైన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, కాంటినెంట్స్ కి మధ్యలో ట్రాపికల్ గ్రాస్లాండ్స్, అండ్ కాంటినెంట్స్ కి వెస్టర్న్ సైడ్ ట్రాపికల్ డెజర్ట్స్. అండ్ ఆల్సో అంతే 30 to 45 కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఈస్ట్ సైడ్ గల్ఫ్, చైనా, నటాల్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ టెంపరేట్ గ్రాస్లాండ్స్, అండ్ వెస్టర్న్ సైడ్ వచ్చేటప్పటికి మెడిటరేనియన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్. అండ్ 45 to 60 degrees వచ్చేటప్పటికి స్టిల్ మోర్ అనమాట. 45 to 60 degrees వచ్చేటప్పటికి మనకి ఏమవుతుంది, ఈస్టర్న్ సైడ్ లౌరెన్షియన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ సైబీరియన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, అండ్ వెస్ట్ సైడ్ బ్రిటిష్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్, రైట్? సో దిస్ ఇస్ బ్రాడర్ పిక్చర్. ఒక్కసారి క్లోజర్ లుక్ ఇంటూ దిస్ మెరైన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్. So today in our video we are going to discuss about marine type of climate and also tropical grasslands and tropical deserts. Marine type of climate is present in between 5 to 30 degrees north south. So first we need to know about the location. It is 5 to 30 degrees north south, and then already we have discussed in the last video, right? So for every type of climate we have to discuss about 4 characteristics, that is rainfall, temperature, vegetation, and human activities. So these are the 4 characteristics which we have to discuss upon. And not only this, but also the regions. Regions where this type of climate is present. So we have already understood that when we are coming from east to western part of the continents, on the eastern side between 5 to 30 degrees north south, on the eastern side we observe marine type of climate. On in between of the continents, continental area, we observe tropical grasslands, and on the western side tropical deserts, right? So first we are going to marine type of climate. So we have to discuss about the regions, right? So first, what regions comes under marine type of climate? Now you can open your atlas. I'll show you the regions where this type of climate is present and you can note down. Now the first region comes to eastern part of Africa. Eastern part of Africa, eastern part of South America, and Caribbean islands, which is also the eastern part of this North America, right? So Caribbean islands, eastern part of South America, eastern part of Africa, and then here Southeast Asian region till Assam. Okay, Southeast Asian region till Assam. So these regions come under marine type of climate. Right, now we have understood about the regions. Now we'll go into rainfall. So first characteristic, rainfall. So now can we guess what type of rainfall is present in marine type of climate? Yeah, I have already told you that there is the influence of oceans which are present, the seas which are present influence the climate in these regions, right? So what happens? We already know that if you have any idea about ocean currents, we all know that from 5 to 30 degrees. From 5 to 30 degrees, sorry, it's not ocean currents, but if you know about the winds, if you know about the pressure belts and winds, from 5 to 30 degrees, we all know that trade winds. There is the influence of trade winds. There is an influence of trade winds between 5 to 30 degrees. Okay, so now from 5 to 30 degrees, northeast trade winds blow in this region. So northeast trade winds which are coming become onshore to eastern part of the continents. Because northeast trade winds, now let me show you how does this northeast trade winds come. Right? So this is equator. This is, imagine this is 30 degrees latitude and this is equator. Right? So this region comes under the influence of northeast trade winds. Right? It is coming under the influence of northeast trade winds. So the winds which are blowing like this become onshore to this type of continents. See, they become onshore to the eastern part of the continents. Now for example, imagine here it is Africa. So these winds became onshore to eastern part of the continent. So eastern part of Africa, and also they become onshore to, and also if you imagine here it is South Asia islands. South Asian islands, it becomes onshore winds. So because of the onshore trade winds, we observe rainfall here. Right? Yesterday we have discussed in hot wet equatorial climate, rainfall is because of convection. Right? And now in marine type of climate, rainfall is because of onshore trade winds. Simple. Here the rainfall is because of onshore trade winds. In hot wet equatorial climate, it is because of convection. Right? And the rainfall topic is completed. You have rainfall, and yeah, seasonally you get rainfalls, and yeah, now we have understood that rainfall in these regions is because of onshore trade winds. And also there is also another reason. When we observe here on the eastern side of the continents, there is influence of warm currents, warm ocean currents. So warm ocean currents on the eastern side of the continent is also one of the reasons for the rainfall present here. Yeah, now rainfall is completed. We'll move into temperature. Temperature is our second characteristic, right? So when we talk about temperature, what do we understand? We already know here on the eastern part of the continents, I have already explained that influence of oceanic character. So whenever there is an influence of oceanic character, there is no much change between the temperature during the daytime and the night time, and also seasonal variation. No much seasonal variation. So diurnal range and annual range of temperature. diurnal and annual range of temperature will be the same. Almost the diurnal and annual range of temperature will be the same because of the influence of the oceanic character, right? So the second characteristic, temperature, is completed. Yeah, and next we'll move into the third characteristic, vegetation. What about vegetation? So rainfall is good because of the warm currents and onshore trade winds. Rainfall is sufficient. And also when we see about temperature, the temperature is almost throughout the year. It's also normal temperature throughout the year, oceanic influence. So what about the vegetation? Can you guess which type of vegetation is present here? Here also we observe evergreen forest. Evergreen forest is observed here, vegetation. So in these evergreen vegetation, when we talk about evergreen vegetation, there is no much difference between hot, wet, equatorial and marine type of climate in vegetation. But when we talk about wildlife, what about wildlife? Wildlife, biodiversity. The wildlife and biodiversity is comparatively less when compared to hot, wet, equatorial climate, right? Less compared to hot, wet, equatorial climate. The evergreen forest, biodiversity is comparatively less than hot, wet, equatorial climate, right? And next, last and fourth characteristic is human activities. Human activities, right? What kind of human activities is present here? So when we talked about that hot, wet, equatorial climate, we have seen that there is shifting cultivation, lumbering activities. So here also, because of evergreen forest, you can observe shifting cultivation. One characteristic, shifting cultivation. Here also you can see the domination of forest. So you can also observe hunting, gathering. One of the human activity, hunting and gathering. So shifting cultivation, hunting, gathering. Along with this, here the unique characteristic is intensive paddy cultivation. Intensive paddy cultivation is seen. Intensive paddy cultivation is seen in these regions. Why? Because temperature is normal throughout the year and you have rainfall, sufficient rainfall, and the rainfall is also exactly sufficient, which is enough for the paddy cultivation. So paddy cultivation is seen. And also here you can see cultivations like rubber, sugar cane and coffee plantations also can be seen in these regions. So this is about human activities in this region. And I think this marine type of climate characteristic is completed, and one thing is left over for us, which is population, right? So what do you think about population? Whether it is low density of population or high density of population? Yes, as we all know, here we observe high density of population because of conducive climate. Conducive climate, high density of population can be seen. Because of agriculture activities which are taking place here, we can see high density of population present, right? Our third type of climate in our discussion is, we all know, it's tropical grasslands. Tropical grasslands. Tropical grasslands is our third type of climate which we are going to discuss. Now, and we know that the region where it is present 5 to 30 degrees north and south. This is the regions where it is present. And now when we talk about tropical grasslands, we have to understand where these tropical grasslands are present in between the continental regions. Eastern part marine, in between tropical grasslands, and on the western side deserts, right, as we discussed. So in between it is tropical grasslands. So now there are various names for these tropical grasslands. So what are those names? We'll discuss. Once open your atlas and open South American map. So when you open your South American map, you can observe, yeah, this is a South American map, and the tropical grasslands which are present in South America are called as, once open your South American map, and I'll help you in identification of the grasslands which are present in South America. The names of the tropical grasslands which are present in South America are Campos and Llanos, right? Campos and Llanos. And if you open your atlas and open your South American map, here you can observe Campos and Llanos, right? So I'll help you here. In this region you have Llanos, and in this region you have Campos. So here you can have your Llanos and Campos. So if you observe in map, you will understand. Tropical grasslands from 5 to 30 degrees, you have Africa. So, in Africa, here you have this Sahel region, which is also called as Sahel region, Sudan region and Savannah. Right? So, in Africa, in tropical grasslands, the type of name of grasslands in Africa is Sahel, Sudan and Savannah. Right? Now, next we'll move into the next thing, Australia. Right? In Australia also, you can observe Australian savanna. In Australia, Australian savanna, and in India, between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. In India, between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, you can observe savanna, Indian savanna. This is called as Indian savanna grasslands between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats region, right? And these are the grasslands. These are the tropical grassland regions and types of tropical grasslands present across the globe. Now, what we have to discuss, same. There are 4 types of characteristics we have to discuss. Rainfall, same, vegetation, temperature, human activities, right? So, when we talk about rainfall, here it is very unique. In tropical grasslands, what can we observe is, rainfall is because of convection. So, in summer season, we can observe convection. In summer season, because of convection, we observe rainfall. In summer season, because of convection, we can observe rainfall. So, in winter season, there is no rainfall. So, rainfall can be observed in summer season. This is a unique characteristic. And when we talk about temperature, dry and wet seasons. During winters, you usually have dry temperatures, and during summers, because of convectional rainfall, you observe wet season, right? So, alternate dry and wet season is observed in tropical grasslands regions. And also we have talked about rainfall, right? It is because of convection, the summer rainfall is observed, dry and wet seasons alternatively. And when we talk about temperature, the diurnal range and the annual range of temperature is very high, because in summer, huge temperatures. In winter, it is dry, low temperatures. So, diurnal range is high. Annual range is high. Diurnal range in the sense, the change of temperature during the morning and the night in the same day. That is diurnal range. So, diurnal range is high and annual range is also high. Okay, so that is. So, now we have completed rainfall and temperature, and now we have to discuss about vegetation. So, we all know that what kind of vegetation is present here. The name itself suggests the tropical grasslands. So, the vegetation is grasslands. Obviously, the vegetation is grasses. Grasses, and also there are short trees which are present here and there. Okay. Short trees. And also here in vegetation, the grasses have some unique characteristics, because the grasses present in tropical region are usually, the height is more, but the taste of the grass is less sweeter when compared to temperate. Less sweeter. Grasses are less sweeter when compared to temperate, but the height of the grasses is more in this region, right? So that is about vegetation. And when you talk about human activities in this region, we already know grasses. When grasses are present, we usually observe livestock. So human activities, livestock. Livestock, cattle rearing is a human activity which is present here, because obviously grasses, cattle feed on them. So cattle rearing is the main human activity which is present here. And as the tropical grasslands region is a dry region compared to the other climates, it is a dry region. So here we can observe the cultivation of millets. Cultivation of millets is observed. Cultivation of millets and cattle rearing is the main occupation here. And when we talk about tropical grasslands, our human activity is completed. And also here in the population, mainly tribes are present here, right? Tribes. In grassland areas, tribes are present here. And yeah, now we have completed rainfall, vegetation, temperature and human activity. We will move into population. So yeah, the population. So the population is relatively less when compared, and usually it is seen around the water bodies. Okay, the population is seen around the water bodies. And that's all about the tropical grasslands. We'll move into the next type of climate. Type of climate is tropical deserts, right? So once open your atlas, and when you open your atlas, open your North American map. So we will see the type of deserts in various continents in these latitudes, especially in 5 to 30 degrees latitudes. We will see various type of deserts which are present. Once if you open your atlas, in America, if you observe, there is Sonoran Desert. Sonoran Desert in America, and in South America, you have Atacama Desert. We all know the famous Atacama Desert. And next in Africa, when we talk about Africa, we have Saharan Desert, and also here we have Kalahari. And when it comes to Australia, you have Great Sandy and Great Victorian Desert. So these are the famous deserts you have to study when it comes to tropical deserts, right? So I'll write here. In USA, you have to study about Sonoran Desert. Once it's like a revision. In USA, you have to study about Sonoran Desert. Here you have, in South America, you have Atacama Desert. And in Africa, you have Saharan Desert, you have Kalahari Desert, you have Namibian Desert, etc. And in Australia, you have Great Sandy and Great Victorian Desert. Great Sandy and Great Victorian Desert. So, as we have come to the topic of deserts, if at all, if you have to study about all the deserts, where these deserts are present, and how the deserts formation, we all know that mostly we observe deserts on the western side of the continents, right? So why do we observe deserts on the western side of the continents mostly? So there are certain reasons. So if at all, if you are interested in the topic of deserts and different types of deserts, please put your comments in the comment box. Surely in the upcoming videos, I'll explain why the deserts are present only on the western side of the continents, and also various deserts. Not only these deserts, you have number of deserts which are very important. We will discuss about all those deserts and all the minerals which are present in these deserts, which are famous in these deserts. Okay. So for now, the tropical deserts, the names of the tropical deserts, these regions you have to remember, right? And after this, we'll move into the characteristics of the tropical deserts climate, right? 4 characteristics. Rainfall, vegetation, temperature, human activities. So rainfall. So we already know deserts. So no rainfall. No rainfall. So on the eastern side, we observe rainfall because of onshore trade winds. So we have already discussed, right? This is 0 degrees, this is 30 degrees latitude. So trade winds, northeast trade winds, they become onshore to eastern part of the continents, but they become offshore to the western part of the continents. So we usually observe deserts. Okay, so we observe deserts because of offshore trade winds. Offshore trade winds, okay? Yeah, and that is about rainfall. Now let's talk about vegetation. So actually when there is no rainfall, what kind of vegetation you can observe? Xerophytes. So xerophytes, that means plants usually don't have leaves, because when there are leaves, the respiration process requires lot of water. So usually the plants reduce their leaves into stems. So you can usually observe xerophytes vegetation. And when it comes to temperature, usually days are very high temperature. Days have very high temperature and nights have very cool temperature. Very cool during nights and high temperature during days. So diurnal temperature and annual temperature is so high. Diurnal temperature and annual, both are very high. So temperature is very high. And human activities. So when there is no vegetation and when the temperatures are too high and too low during nights, human activities generally are mining. So because in deserts usually you can observe minerals, right? So mining activity is observed. And nomadic herding. Nomadic herding is seen. Nomadic herding is seen. And so other than this, human activities are also very less. And when we talk about population, you see very less population. The population is only concentrated around oasis regions. That's it. So the population is also very less in these regions. So that's all about the tropical. Yeah. So we have discussed all these 3, and in our next video, we'll discuss about the other 3 type of climates from 30 to 45 degrees. I hope you all understood this video. And if you are understanding my lectures, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.